Good morning, everyone. I have been encouraged by one of the subscribers to my YouTube channel who has posted on his own channel quite a few questions on consciousness, on thoughts and where they come from, and on many other topics. And I would like to try to give my interpretation of the topics that he's discussing and leave it out there for you to either accept what I'm saying or reject what I'm saying or simply modify what I'm saying. As we each create our own reality, we all say it all the time, then you have the choice of all of those. I will just try to explain through my own understanding some of the things that he talked about. One of the first things was that he said that he was not a scientist, but that he also did not consider himself a religious person. And he wondered then if possibly he thought himself a spiritualist. And I believe that this is a position that many of us today in the world find ourselves in, because the accepted rules and regulations that we've been taught don't seem to don't seem to resonate anymore with what we are experiencing, whether it's rules coming from science or rules coming from religion, or not rules, but understanding. Everyone is resonating at a higher level of frequency at this time, because human consciousness as a whole is rising. And therefore, of course, change will come into your being. And so that is just something right now. Spiritualist is what we call it. Jumping now to more of the crux of the matter, you said something that you were wondering if you and your body was just a flux of energy. And then you said, but how can it be a flux, because you are definitely here? I would like to propose that this is an example of what the scientists and the spiritualists call wave-particle duality. The waving part comes from Maxwell's interpretation of our world. Very briefly, Maxwell is who coined the word electromagnetic realm. That is how the scientists measure everything that is in our human realm. And this electromagnetic realm comes to us in different wave frequencies, one of which is being condensed enough into being as a human being, you and me. This state of condensation is the particle phase of our wave-particle duality. But we are a very intimately linked part of the electromagnetic spectrum. And in the poem that I have just recently posted, there is the statement that we are here parading momentarily in heaviness, it seems. And that's exactly what is happening. We are fluxes of energy. Not only the human being, but everything in existence is simply a flux of energy, or a movement of consciousness. Energy being the full consciousness that is. We move in and out of particle stage in these cycles of consciousness, in these pure waves of pure conscious potential that condense into being, and then after we have lived out our lives, that transforms back into the pureness of this full consciousness that is. So this is part of wave-particle duality. And how long we decide to stay in this condensed particle state is apparently relative. It's all up to us. You wondered about what is a dream. And of course, the first answer is the most accepted, which is that a dream is simply the neural processes of our brain, the neural impulses. But I would like to also propose that a dream, in the dream state, we are in a very close and intimate contact, direct contact with the consciousness that is. Okay? One of the most exciting things that I've ever recently stumbled upon was from a BBC article on the BBC World News, which is my homepage. If you would like, I can send the link to you if you contact me through YouTube channel, the link to this particular article. It was an article that showed the brain activity of a person who had been given an anesthesia, and they were filming the brain activity as the person went further and further into the unconscious state. And as this state gradually took over, the expected result, that the brain activity would get less, were not at all what was being recorded. The opposite happened. The further the person went under the effects of the anesthesia, the more active his brain became, until it was nearly fully active when the person was fully under the effects of the anesthesia. Now, this is pretty fantastic information. The researchers who were doing the filming, they proposed that the brain, as it was going into the unconscious state, that the different parts of the brain were trying to communicate with the other parts. And this is, of course, one interpretation. But the interpretation that I prefer is that the brain, which the scientists have told us is only used at about 6 to 10%, meaning that there is 90 to 94% of our brain that is there but not used in this human realm. In my second book, I've been given an explanation for that. In the channelings, they have told me that the extra part of the brain, the 90 to 94%, is housing the all of consciousness, this consciousness that is, meaning that we have this consciousness, fullness of it, in our brains already, but it is veiled by the separation so that we can be human. This relates to all of the other information that I've given in my other videos. But this veil of separation is necessary for us to experience being human. You start to remove the veil, and the brain starts to be able to communicate. Yes, it's the fullness of consciousness is now then available for us to use. It's the paradox there is that it is in the unconscious state, in this human realm, where this actually happens. And that again is because of the veil. We need to be separated in order to, we need to be consciously separated in order to experience human. And in the dream state, part of that veil is also lifting off and being removed. And that is when we have a very direct contact with the consciousness that is. So that is my explanation of where dreams come from. There was one more, I think I have time. You did ask to try to keep these to 10 minutes. You were wondering about being controlled by higher intelligence. The higher intelligence would be the consciousness that is, this fullness of knowledge, full enlightenment state that simply is, that simply exists, from which everything is created. So the creations that we make become the games that you spoke of. We are the ones that are controlling the game. We are the ones controlling the rules of the game. And the only reason why people fear a higher intelligence that is controlling us and telling us what to do is that we are not yet willing to take responsibility, full responsibility for the creations that we are making out of this fullness of intelligence and fullness of the consciousness that is. We are the ones controlling the game, and therefore we are responsible for everything that happens within that game. I'll leave it to that right now, and be back in just a moment. Thank you.